All right, folks, let's go ahead and get you started straight away with the first alert warning here. We are dealing with several severe thunderstorms that are in place, and I want to go ahead and get you updated. So right here off the top of the show, we've been watching a couple of them that have been on the ground for a little bit near Fairfield and Newberry County. This warning stays in place until 7:30. We've had reports of wind gusts going up to 60 miles per hour. The biggest one is in place right over Calhoun, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties. This one is going to stay in place until 5 o'clock. And then just south of that, parts of Lexington, Newberry, Richland, and Fairfield County. So all of these storms are moving to the east. The ones at the top are moving probably at about 45 miles per hour. The ones in the south moving at about 35 miles per hour. Nonetheless, it's a rapid movement. You can see all the lightning that's in place. The main threat that we're concerned about will be gusty winds. We have very strong winds aloft. They're cycling down. It's very hot down here. That's going to be a big difference in the temperatures. That's going to lead to very gusty winds. Straight line winds are possible. We're watching areas near Leapart Road. This is going to be right along I-26 near Rainbow Drive. So all of these areas, including Mineral Springs Road, the old Two Notch Road that's over in Lexington, those communities watch out for lightning, heavy rain, and extremely gusty winds. Make sure everything is tied down and secured outside of your house, because that heavy rain and wind in place near Piney Grove Road, St. Andrews, Bush River Road. So this is up 26. I know we got a lot of cars headed up there that are commuting at this point in the day. Let's watch out. If you got someone on the road, make sure you check on them, make sure they're okay, and you can tell them they can go ahead and pull off to the side if they want to feel a little more secure. Eau Claire, in the Eau Claire communities, heading up towards Greenview, those communities off of Farrow Road, Sharp Road, all seeing that heavy rain and gusty winds. Another one that's back behind it now, this is the cluster that was originally severe, right along I-20, Smyrna Highway, near Glover's Able Road. Watch out for that. And then the top end. This one just a little bit out of our neck of the woods. It's going to be in Chester County, and this warning stays in place until about 5 o'clock, and this is along I-77. So from Richburg down 77 heading into Winnsboro, watch out for clusters of severe storms. And again, the biggest threat is going to be very severe gusty winds. You've got lightning, heavy rain, and wind. If you're traveling, just go ahead and hold off for about a half hour or so, and then you can get back on the roads. For now, we're going to send it over to Chief Meteorologist Adam Clark to see if he has any additional information here.
No, Vaughn, everything is pretty much the same. The National Weather Service is continuing the severe warning for Calhoun, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland County, and that's until 5 o'clock. So they're just maintaining that status of 70-mile-per-hour winds with this system and 3/4-inch hail. We've also got some frequent lightning with this. We're hearing it here in the studios, but currently 2 warnings that we're looking at right now. One just over our area, and that one is until 5 o'clock, and the one just to our west, that's till 4:45 or so. But these showers and storms continuing to the east at around 45 miles per hour. So what I wanted to do is put on a track, and just so you can see where this is headed and where we can expect this storm to reach. Around Killian at 442, Pontiac 449, and McIntyre A&G right at around 5:57, and Leesburg around 5 o'clock or so. So it's a quick moving system, and when that wind comes in, it's 70 miles per hour, and that can break windows. So make sure you're staying away from windows. You're in the interior part of your home, and you know that you need to be on the lowest level as well. So here again is the close-up. Rembert also seeing some heavier rain there. No warning for that storm, but here in Columbia we've got heavy downpours. West Columbia, St. Andrews, almost in Irmo, just from Harbison down to the south. We've got some of that heavier rain in that region there, and up to the north as well. Hardscrabble Road, also the Blue Ridge Terrace, Buckner Road, having some very heavy rain as we speak, and some gusty winds as well. So this is the whole area, includes Fort Jackson, Hopkins, and Eastover. You're in on this warning, and just south of Blythewood. So south of Blythewood, we've got a warned area, and just west of Camden in southwestern Kershaw County. Now we're expecting winds and upwards of right around 70 miles per hour. Now look at this. This is the hail hail that we're dealing with. It's right over Columbia. It's about almost 3/4 of an inch. It's 6/10. So expect some hail with this system, and it will melt very quickly because it is hot out there. Now, as you can see, St. Andrews, Colonial Life Boulevard, some extreme heavy rain in that region there. And over to the west, this warning around Chapin and Lexington will most likely expire. And what we're really watching is this region right here from just west of Camden and around Eastover, Hopkins, including the city of Columbia, all looking at some extremely heavy rain. So please, if you're in this area in the city of Columbia, make sure you're just staying away from those windows. We've got a lot of glass in this city, and you want to stay away from it as this storm rumbles through, just to be on the safe side, and down towards Casey as well, and Eau Claire, dealing with some heavier rain. Let me see. We've got a storm report from the Metro Airport. It looks like the Columbia Metro Airport measured a gust of 87 miles per hour. 87 miles per hour at the Columbia Metro Airport. That's an incredible wind gust. That really tells me that we need to stick with this storm because, my goodness, that's a lot higher than the 70 miles per hour, though it's warned for. So it's really great. And that's from the Mezzo, I believe, from the ASOS system that actually is a really good indicator and a good measurement of that wind that's coming with this. So we're going to stick with this because of that report right there. So as you can see, the storm moving east at around 45 miles per hour. We'll put another track on this just to be on the safe side. So you know that we could potentially be seeing winds in upwards of 87 miles per hour as this system continues to the east towards Pontiac at 448, Horal Hill 454, and Leesburg around 456. So very strong storm indeed. So here are the two warnings that we've got, one till 5 o'clock. The larger one to the east and the one to the west is about to expire in about 6 minutes or so. And let me put this into motion so you can kind of get a sense of just how fast it's moved into the region from the west to the east around Columbia and into areas of Kershaw County here shortly. And meanwhile, I want to see if we've got a new data point with this hail. Let's zoom in to Columbia. Show you what's going on here. Right here in the middle, we've got hail size of about ½ inch. There it is, a brand new scan. I'm going to do it again, 0.6. So hail's associated with this. They're warning it for 3/4 inch hail. Our system's showing very similar number there, but right over Columbia, especially the northern half of town, from right around Rosewood area and north. And including areas of, it looks like it's getting closer into Forest Acres. There's Pine Belt right there, getting closer to Dentsville. So know that this hail is on its way, very gusty winds. Vaughn has some new information. What do you have for me, Vaughn?
Gone in and looked at some of the power outages that we've had, and I'm seeing that there are some customers without power, possibly in Saluda County. We know it was severe when it went through there, and it did cause a lot of damage. We're also getting some reports of some trees being down. Exact location should be coming in on those soon, but we did get reports of possible power outages in and some 1-inch diameter limbs being down, and of course that lightning that was coming through. And this is all coming through probably at about 10 to 15 minutes ago when we were seeing the strongest storms moving through right near Saluda County. And so as we look at some of the outages that we're having, just some of the ones we're tracking just in Saluda County, telling us about 900 customers are probably without power. And now right in Richland and Lexington counties, we're not getting a lot of reports there, so they're not a massive amount, but we are seeing probably about 1,700 people that are out, and that's going to be in Kershaw County there. And Maybe in Richland County, probably about 200. So as of right now, we're not seeing massive outages, but we're probably seeing a few that are coming down, and these are probably going to be temporary as those gusty winds move through. And as we move in a little bit closer, some of the areas that we're seeing it now move in. Now, these are new communities. Of course, it was in parts of Lexington County, but it's now starting to move into the heart of Richland County, Dentsville, Ravenwood, Sylvan Drive, Trenham Road, Covenant Road, all of these communities, and now starting to bow out towards that top section, which is what we call Northeast Columbia, over near Park Lane Road, Alpine Road, Floral Drive, into Polo Road communities, Killian Road up 77, including the Coon Road communities, Pishka Church Road, and Sharp Road. All of those areas now starting to see that heavy rain and gusty wind move through. So if we start to see some additional power outages, I wouldn't be surprised. We did have a report of a 43-mile-per-hour wind gust that came in just a little while ago, and that was from Richland County, and that came in from Hamilton Owens Field at 43. And so with that additional 87-mile-per-hour wind gust that was recorded at the airport, we do see the storm kind of sticking together, if you will. I wouldn't necessarily say it's intensifying, but it's holding together and holding the current intensity that it has. And so it's making a beeline for Fort Jackson. So heads up for you. Just kind of go ahead and prepare for it to come through your neck of the woods. If you're over out near Garners Ferry Road, Trotter Road, Horrell Hill Communities, Fort Jackson, you're probably starting to see the dark skies and the gusty winds.
WIS First Alert Weather, the Midland's most trusted 10-day forecast.
We've got several reported around the Saluda area. Incidents causing outages, 3,264 customers are out of power. Let's also click right here in areas right around Irmo and Lexington. We've got about 15 right there, 2, 3, so not anything crazy right now. And around the Seven Oaks, 3 customers are out. Around Forest Acres, so far 21 customers are out as of now. So we'll continue to monitor this, but with more radar information and that hail core that's just now going across the area. Actually, could you please take Max 2 and I'll drive from there and we can show going on with actually Max 1. I misspoke. Max 1, sorry about that. But there's the hail size across the area here. And it's just on the north side of town and still at around 0.6 inches. So just over half-inch size hail. And we've got 1 warning now. We're down to 1 warning. And this is until 5 o'clock for the entire city of Columbia, until 5 o'clock, for a system that's moving east right over the town. We've got a lot of lightning associated with it. Let's get a count on just how many strikes. We're looking at around 72 strikes in the last 30 minutes. And everything pushing east at around 45 miles per hour. So again, folks upstream, you need to be on the lookout. We'll kind of put it up like this. Fort Jackson at around 450, Leesburg at 459, and McCaskill around 502. So we've had in upwards of 45 mile per hour gusts, and the big one was at the Columbia Metro Airport. They measured an 87 mile per hour gust. We're likely going to see some downed trees associated with any of this. And I noticed earlier, or do we have too many reports of storm reports there, Vaughn?
We do. We do have just about 3 reports. They're not massive at this point, but we've talked a little bit about the wind gust that we got from Jim Hamilton LB Owens Airport. That wind gust of about 45 miles per hour there, and then that 87 mile per hour wind gust that came in from the airport. And then we got some information from Longtown, which is right up on Kershaw County, in that Kershaw County area. And the public was reporting some strong winds, and he had that at his residence, and there was a bent flagpole. And so the time of that happened about 3:35. So this was early on when we were starting to see the severe cluster of storms rolling through.
Gotcha. And we've got one from Longtown there. I believe you were talking about winds at his residence bent the flagpole. That's what you were just saying. That happened at 3:35. And then, of course, the 87-mile-per-hour gust that's down around the airport there. Those are the two big ones that we've got in our region. So, again, this is the region that we've got under the warning until 5 o'clock, so another 13 minutes or so left on this warning. And you can see it encompasses most of the city of Columbia. Looks like the heaviest is just on the north side of town, around Densville, Forest Acres, Greenview, Ravenwood, Valencia Heights, just some lighter showers, but some heavier rain around Colonial Drive, Eau Claire, that neighborhood, seeing some very heavy rain currently. And it looks like we've got a new information, a new severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm going to zoom out here, and we've got one to the north around Kershaw County. So let's click on this so you know exactly what's going on until 5:30. We've got severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30 for Kershaw County. And what we'll do is we'll kind of zoom in and see what's going on up here. And that storm is moving. It's got 60-mile-per-hour winds associated with it. And it's moving. I'm going to get a good reading on how fast it's moving currently. And at 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to change my computer to 35 miles per hour, so you know exactly when it is going to hit in what city. So we'll kind of push it out like this. And so Lake Wateree is around, looks like Great Falls 448, Heath Springs 508, Kershaw around 519, and Mount Pisgah at 532. So again, that warning lasting until 5:30 in the afternoon here. And of course, we're really on because this storm right here produced winds at 87 miles per hour, and it's headed towards Fort Jackson. So everything's pushing from the west to the east with this system. I'm going to put a loop on it so you can kind of see how it is pushing into Fort Jackson right there from the west to the east. I'm going to put it on now, and then I will put another track on it, but this time this storm is moving a little quicker. It's going at 45 miles per hour, so I've got it in there at 45. We'll kind of zoom out. And Fort Jackson at 4:51. So you don't have much time before the wind gets there. So if you're watching, go ahead and take shelter now. Winds are warned for 70 miles per hour, but again, this storm has produced winds at 87 miles per hour. Vaughn has some new information. Vaughn.
We're getting reports of several trees being down on the 300 block of Duke Avenue in Columbia. That's going to be in the Eau Claire community. We were looking at the storm when it rolled through there, and that's when we were starting to get those reports of the gusty winds at 87 miles per hour out at the airport. And so in the Eau Claire community, we are getting reports of there being some damage in those communities. And so those are probably some of the areas where we're starting to get those reports of power outages too. So when those trees fall, they often topple down power lines with them. And of course, that takes folks out of power for a little bit. So we're sure crews are going to be on that, but we are hearing about trees being down at Duke Avenue. And we're also hearing about power lines being down on Mineral Springs Road in Lexington. And at Emmanuel Church Road, we're hearing that trees are down there, and at Cedar Crest and Two Notch. So these are all coming in from official emergency management officials. They're out and about, and they have their crews out, and they are getting this information back in. And of course, we're able to give it to you because we're live on the air. But those are some of the outages that we're hearing about, and of course, some of the damage with trees and power lines coming down in Lexington County. Now that things have kind of cleared out in Lexington County, you can kind of safely get out and see what's been going on. And so Emmanuel Church Road, we're hearing about trees being down there, Mineral Springs Road, and then Cedar Crest at Two Notch.
Gotcha. Yeah, two warnings that we're watching right now. and one to the north till 5:30, and the one here in Columbia, that's until 5 o'clock. So another 9 minutes left on that. So Mineral Springs Road, Lexington, Emmanuel Church, trees down at Cedar Crescent, 2-notch there. That's what Vaughn was just reporting there from our emergency managers. They're posting on for us so we can actually relay this information to you. So you can see our storms, one that's moving through Columbia and over to the east into eastern Richland County, into Kershaw County. We've also got a very strong storm moving through Lancaster and could skirt the northern section of Kershaw County. So you guys are under this warning until 5:30. So Lake Wateree, we're expecting some storms for you here in the near future. Here around Columbia, we've had some very, very strong winds. Again, this storm produced 87-mile-per-hour winds at the airport, and that's the most reliable source that you can get. So the warning has been canceled for Calhoun and Lexington County. So you can kind of see they've shaved it off, but it still includes the city of Columbia, the northern half of Columbia, around Dentsville and Forest Acres. Very heavy rain and gusty winds and a quick downpour. Let's look at the hail, see where we've got some hail on the map here. Looks like there's one small core around Dentsville. That's looking at around 0.6 of an inch right there, or 1/2 inch or so hail associated with that storm. And then up to the north and east, you can see a few little blips around Rembert. Let's click on that and show you that. About a 1/4 inch size hail, and about a 1/4 inch size hail with that as well. So everything's pushing up to the north and east. And as you can see, some heavier downpours in areas of Dentsville, Fort Jackson, just now starting to see some of this activity push into your region there. So again, this is moving at right around 45 miles per hour. And no new warnings yet, but we've had several reports of severe weather. Lines down on Kingbridge, Court, and Mineral Creek. That's the emergency manager from Lexington there. So lines are down. So we have some power outages. Our map is going up. I'm going to go over to the storyteller here and show you our total customers out. That's actually gone up to 5,895. So that's gone up a couple thousand since last we spoke. I'll kind of zoom out right here. If we could, right here. 5,895. So about 118 incidents causing outages. So we've already heard that there are several power lines down. And we've got the outages to prove it. So the outages are going up as this storm kind of makes its way through. Another key element here: do not get anywhere near a downed power line. Okay, just leave it be, turn around, and leave it alone, and call it in if you can. That's the best thing to do. Just stay away from those downed power lines. But our outages have gone up to 5,895, 118 incidents, and that's just within the Dominion group here around Columbia. And of course, that's generally where all the storms have been, around Saluda and over towards Batesburg, Leesville, into Lexington as it continues over to the east. Now, Vaughn, what do you have for me? Any new information?
Well, we were looking at it from this end. If we come over here to Max 2, you can see that the back side of it, we're starting to see where we're seeing the lighter returns there. So it's not that deep, bold red color that we were seeing. So we're seeing lighter returns over near Colonial Drive, and this is near downtown Columbia and Greenview communities. So now it's starting to sort of bow forward, if you will, heading towards Fort Jackson, Alpine Road in the thick of it now, Lower Richland Boulevard, and Horrell Hill. You guys need to kind of keep your heads up because it's starting to move into your communities. And we mentioned that movement has been moving pretty rapidly at 35 to 45 miles per hour to the east. And these are the communities that we were watching for it to get into at about 4:55. So as we see it moving closer to Fort Jackson, that top end of it is also going north, and it's near Pontiac and Spears Creek Church Road and North Brickyard Road onto Polo Road. Heavy rain, intense wind there, and Alpine Road.
All
And
right.
as we see it, what they're doing when you keep hearing the alarm fire, which you just heard there behind me, they're just going ahead and they're extending the warning that's already up there, because this one was set to expire at 5 o'clock, and they don't want it to expire. They still want everyone to stay alert, and so they're going to go ahead and issue another one. That's why you just heard that sound there. And so what we're seeing here is the old one in Kershaw and Richland County that's going to expire at 5, and then the new one is going to take hold, and this one still parts of Kershaw and Richland County, but it adds Lee and Sumter counties into it. So they're watching the clusters as they continue to move to the east at 45 miles per hour, and we do have hazards of 70 mile per hour wind gusts. We do know there has been an over 80 mile per hour wind gust in there, but it continues to quickly move to the east at 45. But a heads up for you there, Fort Jackson over near Sumter, southern parts of Richland County,
me
Coral
on the,
Hill,
green screen.
in those communities. Let's go ahead and watch very, very closely, because these are the communities that we're watching now for the additional development of the showers and storm. We're going to go ahead and send it over to Chief Meteorologist Adam Clark at the Weather Center.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vaughn. We've got this storm that has produced 87 mile per hour winds associated with it, continuing over to the east. That's what Vaughn was saying. That's why we've got this new warning right here until 5:30. There's also this warning in northern sections of Kershaw County until 5:30 for the storms that are pressing east at around 45 miles per hour. So we've got some storms that have developed ahead of this system, and especially just north of Sumter. But as this system kind of continues up to the north and east over towards Rembert, know that we could be dealing with winds in upwards of around 70 miles per hour, but we have seen higher than that, 87 miles per hour within this storm as it moved over the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. So we're going to continue to monitor this storm throughout the rest of this evening and break in as needed, but we're going to start the news off in just a moment, so stay tuned to WIS.